Hey guys, sorry it's been a really long time since I last uploaded. Life has been super busy with like a lot of my extracurricular stuff in school, but it's Super Bowl Sunday, so I hope you guys enjoy watching the Super Bowl if you're interested in that stuff, but if you watch football and stuff. But anyways, today we're going to continue talking about LEGO Star Wars: A Complete Saga, because that is where we left off on part 2. And today we find ourselves in the middle of the road of this ranking as we explore the levels that are just sort of meh. They're good in many ways, but also subpar or even bad in others. Although this level isn't necessarily frustrating in any way, it's another really long level, and arguably like the most disappointing thing about the level is that for a level with so many iconic moments from episode 4 in it, like the cantina scenes and the Obi-Wan's famous, these aren't the droids they're looking for quote, the level just falls way too flat. It could be because the level is super long, like I said, or because the scenes just don't really translate that well into LEGO form, or maybe even because Tatooine is just kind of a bland setting and isn't all too fun to look at in a video game for a prolonged time. But yeah, that's just kind of what ruined this level for me, is this is like a really long level, and it gets really boring. This level isn't even really that bad. I think considering that, all the high intensity action that occurs in the subsequent levels of episode 6, this does seem maybe just a little bit underwhelming. I mean, there is the Rancor pit scene at the very end. I did say, like, in the script that this level is shorter, but then I actually played through it again, and it's about average length for a non-vehicle level. So, I mean, it's got that going for it. It just feels like we don't really see all that much of Jabba anyways, as most of the level is just kind of traipsing through his palace, which does make sense as this level isn't a boss fight. I mean, they don't fight Jabba the Hutt in the movies at all, but yeah. The Gamorrean guards, though, get to be a little bit too much, as they do constantly keep spawning until you block off those tunnels. That can get a little bit frustrating, and some of the areas connecting the main parts of the level do seem just a little bit weak. It's definitely not the worst level from episode 6, but I was definitely more impressed by others. Another level that's truly a beast, and this time length isn't even that much of a problem though, because the storyline and the setting of the level is engaging and pretty cool all around. It's got really everything from Yoda, who's always awesome to play as or play alongside, that scene with the sunken X-Wing, which is pretty cool. Even the boss fight against Darth Vader at the very end is... I mean, it's not like the best boss fight in the entire game by far, but it's decent. It is, though, a pretty frustrating mission, especially for like any of the timed things, like if you're doing Super Story Mode or if you're doing the Blue Mini Kits, but that's not a problem exclusive. It's just Dagobah. There were other missions in episode 5 that I did like more. This may be kind of the point in the ranking, though, where I can confidently say that the rest of the levels are at least good. Because, hey, I mean, I do like this level, especially more so than the first time I played LEGO Star Wars. It's definitely, like, this level does get my seal of approval. It's kind of easy to forget that Jedi Destiny isn't actually the final level in the game, because, it was the final boss fight in the game between Luke and Darth Sidious. You would think that it would be the proper way to conclude the game, but they decided to dedicate a whole level to the explosion of the Death Star, and they really shouldn't have, as you probably could have guessed from my last video. I would say that this is a fulfilling final boss fight in the game. The difficulty is perfect. Sidious isn't too easy, but he isn't like, tear your hair out difficult either. The setting of the level is really good, as it technically is all one location, but it's a pretty big area that has a few wings that kind of stick out and lead to collectibles like mini kits and such. It makes it really easy to go through really quickly in Super Story Mode or like the Blue Mini Kit challenges. But there is one thing that does ruin this level for me, and that is the Royal Guards. You know that henchman enemies are too hard in a LEGO game when they're harder than the final boss itself. These guardsmen are so insanely difficult to kill. They take so many hits, and they can take you out pretty quickly. To put it into perspective, a single Super Jedi Slam can wipe out a whole wave of enemies, but it takes at least 3, sometimes 4 of them to kill one single Royal Guard. I'm sorry, but that's just overpowered. There's no other way to explain it. This is especially nerve-wracking when you are doing the Blue Mini Kit Challenge or the... for some reason, I didn't have much of a problem with them in Super Story Mode. You have to kill a lot of them, though, in order to move on to the next segment of the level in time. But I think, I'm trying to think, though, about, because after playing around with the Royal Guards, I did realize that there is one strategy that, it's, I forgot what it was, too. I think just, punching them, instead of, trying to fight them with a lightsaber, or maybe I'm thinking of, using a character with, a ray gun. I'd have to play it again, but there's one method that you can actually take care of them pretty quickly. But yeah, anyways, that is why I kind of look back at this, other than that good level, with only a little bit of disdain. It is a good level. Let me first say that I adore the levels in Cloud City. They look so cool. This is the worst one, though, in my opinion. It feels a little bit too loose. It's still a very enjoyable level, but there's just so much to explore within the location of the level that it's really easy to get lost and not even know what way you need to go to continue the actual story. This makes it a very stressful level to get the blue mini kits for. Now, that being said, for a level that only feels like a normal level, it still manages to fit well as the final level in Episode 5, even when compared to the final levels of the other episodes, which were usually boss levels or some other epic scene. This may be one of the worst levels from Episode 1, but at least it's not super boring like Negotiations is. The thing I never liked about this level is that it seemed to drag on and on and on, but hey, that doesn't really matter when the level is engaging, and that this level definitely was. As you'll come to find out, I love the Naboo levels, and this may not be the best Naboo level, but I look back on it now in a better light than I did before I started playing this game again as a teenager. I was not a huge fan of this level when I was first playing it as a kid. I think a brilliant thing about this level is that it most likely was sort of a filler level, so that there was 6 levels, I feel like, because there's not really a whole lot that goes on in this level. This level doesn't really have a lot of big parts of the storyline of the first movie, but it's still very engaging. Yeah, there's not really anything missing in this level that makes this level feel any less special. I feel like this was what I would call a feel-good level. There's not really a lot of stress involved in this level. It's relatively short, especially if you've played it before, and the storyline of the level is a very important one in Episode 4. The visuals aren't stunning or anything, but it's a good introduction to the next level, which is a lot more demanding and eventful. Ever since I was a little kid playing this game, I always remember this one level being one of my favorites that I would actually play quite a lot. Now, I'm actually really excited to talk about this level. This is probably the level that I've changed my tune on the most over time. I used to absolutely despise this level. If I made this video when I was, even 10 years old, this level would literally be number 26. Number 36. But then I went back, years later, and I played it again. This level is awesome. For one of the first LEGO games, having a level that's a hybrid between a vehicle and on-foot level is totally brilliant, and it's executed flawlessly. Every part of this level, beginning to end, is extremely enjoyable, and that's not something that most levels can say. This is by far the most unique level in the entire game, and if I was ranking these by originality and creativity, you can bet that this would be number 1. The only reason it's still, really so low for how much praise I'm giving it is because a lot of the other levels that follow, I just have a lot more nostalgia for, or I've just enjoyed for a much longer time. I think it's safe to say that this is one of the most iconic levels from the entire game. This was another level that I used to hate because it was so hard, but obviously as I became a more seasoned gamer, this level got way easier and way more enjoyable. What I love about this level is that it's a very, and I mean very, short level, but it's got practically everything. It's got one of those run towards the camera phases, which I usually cannot stand, but this one is pretty cool. It's got some of the most intense platforming I've ever seen in any LEGO game, and of course, the boss fight, which is really ingenuitive if you're playing story mode, where you battle the NPC you've been playing with the whole level, and if you've been playing with, couch co-op, it's, probably one of the best gaming moments, that you'll ever experience. I may have struggled with it a lot in the past, but now it's one of the most fun levels in the game, in my opinion. The only criticism I do have is the name. Why do I choose these dumb, things to nitpick over? No, I mean, it feels a bit weird for it to be called Darth Vader, when Darth Vader only appears in the final cutscene. Then again, it would be weird to call this level Anakin Skywalker, so maybe they made the right choice. I'm really not sure. So, I bet you've been wondering, as you've been watching the first episode in this series, and now this one, you're just counting the entries, the spots until I talk about this one, and you're probably pretty shocked that it's this high up for me, because I think that a lot of people familiar with this game will be shocked that I put Gunship Cavalry this high. A lot of people say it's the worst level in the entire game. I feel like that's maybe not like a 100% like unanimously agreed upon opinion, but I feel like a lot of people do say that Gunship Cavalry is the worst level in LEGO Star Wars: A Complete Saga. But hey, I've always loved it. I don't get it. The difficulty is actually pretty well balanced in this level. That's one of the things that everyone says, is that the level is way too hard. I personally never really felt that way. Even for the player who finds it more frustrating than others, it really doesn't seem that hard. It's one of the shortest levels in the entire game. They don't need to worry that much if, they usually get frustrated a lot by levels. It's over like that. The first stage of the level with the dragon and the bombs past the lasers and the enemy droids, it can be a lot. But I always just, I just pushed through it, and I always thought that it was just kind of just right, the just right level of difficulty. And outside of that, this level is fun. It's also not too terrible to get 100% completion on, as I found a ton of the mini kits pretty quickly. It was like the first time where back when I was pretty bad at collecting mini-kits, I was like, wow, I already have like 9 mini-kits. This is crazy. I love this level. This is actually a super surreal level, as it takes you through the ruins, hence the name of the level, of the Jedi Council area. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, so I'm sorry if I'm getting like the names wrong. Yeah, this is embarrassing. You see the whole area, just this state of disarray. It's got a lot of cool visuals, and one of the things I like about this level is that it's pretty low-key. You don't get swarmed by enemies like you do in a lot of the other levels. Beginning to end, it's a very interesting level with a lot of cool visuals. One of the coolest parts in that area is that the end with all, like, the shelves and stuff you have to climb up. I'm not sure what that part is in the, in the area, but it's a very interesting place for the level to continue on, not in like a weird way either. This may be a challenging level, but in a good way. It's a long, hard beast of a level, but I can't really say anything bad about it. It follows right after the Rescue the Princess level, and there's just something about it that feels very important. The interactions between the characters seem stronger as they all work together to, well, take a guess what they're trying to do. And it all culminates in the final stage of the level, which has the characters trying to retrieve the Millennium Falcon so they can finally escape. What a way to cap off a level. Definitely one of the most intense parts of the game for me, especially doing Super Story Mode. I totally thought that I was not going to get it in time because this level took like 30 minutes, but the last level of A New Hope, which is a work of art. I'll get more on that in the next part of this series. That was pretty stressful, but it's a good level. And anyways, so that wraps up part 2. Be on the lookout for the final installment of the Complete Saga levels ranked, where I talk about the top tier, the best of the best, the cream of the crop levels in LEGO Star Wars. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later.